So, you want to lose weight, you want to get lean, you want to burn that body fat, and of course, just like everybody else, you want to do it as fast as you can. What is the fastest way to burn body fat? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to tell you today on the Iron Palace. My name is Ryan Milton, and this is the show I do every single Tuesday, dedicated towards teaching you how to build that palace of gains. They say body is a temple. Well, a palace is made of gains. And today, we're talking about how to burn body fat as fast as you possibly can. I'm going to cover your training, your nutrition, everything you would want to know to literally get this done. All right? So let's get into it. First things first. What are the common problems with fat loss, right? Like, why do people literally not achieve their goals most of the time when it comes to doing, fat loss diet, weight loss diet, or training for that matter? And I'll tell you straight up what it is. People go from 0 to 60. And what I mean by that is they're going 0 miles an hour. They're, in other words, extremely out of shape. They're not going to the gym every day. They're not going to the gym 3 times a week maybe. They're not following any type of a diet or, whatever. And now they're going from 0 right to 60, jumping into everything, thinking, okay, I need to go to the gym every day, twice a day. I'm going to do an hour of cardio. I'm going to diet myself down to 900 calories a day, and I'm going to lose weight, right? Just won't happen, fam. It's just not the right way to go about it. If you think you're going to do that and you're going to get great results, you'll get very short-lived results, okay? And this is the same for you competitors out there. Even if you got a nice foundation, you're in a good spot, you've been training a while, maybe you're already pretty lean, you just got to get leaner. You're doing too much. You're doing the extreme. It's not the fastest way to get fat loss. Even though it might show in the short term, good results, good progress to diet really hard and to do a lot of cardio and everything else, what it actually does in the long term is it sets you up for metabolic damage. It sets you up for a rebound. It sets you up to gain all that back and then some. You could be the competitor that steps off stage and within a month you're gaining 30 pounds, a pound a day basically, right? And all you fad dieters out there that jump from 0 to 60, you're gaining that weight back. This stuff has been shown by science, it's been shown by research. 95% of diets actually fail, and it's because they're not made sustainable, right? So literally the most common reason that people can't get fat loss, and even if they do, they can't keep it, it's because you're going way too hard, way too fast, way too extreme, and even though it might show cool, it might look good to lose a half a pound a day or something like that, it's not going to feel good in the end when you get it back and your metabolism's all jacked, your hormones are all jacked up, and now you can't lose any body fat to save your damn life, right? You can't save your damn life with it. So you might wonder, what is the fastest way then? How do you get fat loss in the fastest way? And I'll tell you straight up, the best way to do it is to have a structured training, a structured nutrition, and have constant progression and adaptation. All right, I'm going to go into what this means, but if you're really serious about losing body fat for a competition or for a lifestyle, teamfflex.com right now, go there. And me and my team of coaches will literally show you how to do this for free. We have a free trial of our coaching. You can try it for free. If you don't do that, it's pretty crazy because literally it's world-class coaching for free. All right, teamfflex.com. But regardless, what you need to have to actually get the best and fastest amount of fat loss burning it down is going to be having a custom training, having a custom nutrition, and then constant adaptation. Okay, so what I mean by this is literally you can't just jump on a Google search diet. You can't go do what your friend did to lose weight. You can't go just to the gym and do random shit. You gotta have a program. The fastest way to get fat loss is through a program, okay? So first things first, you need to have a weight training program. A lot of people don't do this because they think it's all about cardio or they need more cardio. A lot of times you need to lift your weights better. You need to do more compound movements. Doing compound movements means your heart rate's going to go up. You're going to be taxing your body and all your muscles and a lot more, and that's going to help you burn a lot more fat than walking on the damn treadmill like Frankenstein, right? If you don't know what compound movement is, it's basically, these movements that require more than one muscle group to complete. Your deadlifts, your squats, your bench presses, your barbell rows, your pull-ups, your dips, anything where we're using more than one muscle, right? So like an isolation exercise would be something like a bicep curl, a glute kickback, a tricep extension, and a compound exercise for, working the same types of movements would be like a pull-up or a chin-up or, for glute glutes, it would be a hip thrust, a deadlift, things like that, okay? So you gotta make sure you're doing compounds. And then when you're doing these compounds, you gotta be able to do them heavy. You gotta start getting, the weight up. You gotta be adding it up, getting more and more weight every time, getting better at it. Because if you're constantly progressing in that, you're building strength, you're building muscle, you're burning body fat. That's just kind of how it works. The more body fat you carry, the more body fat you carry, the easier it's going to be to burn if you have more muscle mass. Because muscle mass eats body fat. You're going to burn more calories doing nothing, sitting in your house watching damn Netflix, if you have more muscle mass. So the key is you got to build more muscle. It helps you burn the body fat. A lot of people stray away from the compounds. They try to lift really light because they think they're going to burn more. In reality, you're just wasting your time. Make sure you have the compounds in your program. Absolutely. The next thing you want to do, though, is also make sure that you got a good amount of supersetting and drop setting and other high-intensity training protocols built into your program. Okay, so I'm talking about jumping from an exercise to another exercise with no rest, and that's going to help you keep the cardiovascular, going, keep your heart rate up. It's going to help you burn your body fat, basically, because you're doing like extra form of cardio at this point, right? Because during cardio, all we're doing is we're getting the blood pumping, we're getting the heart pumping, we're keeping the pace working, and you can do the same thing in the weight room, right? You can take, let's say you take some shoulder presses and you can superset them with some abs or something like that if you're doing a shoulder day. You go from overhead press to then some abs, and then you go back and forth till you've completed your sets and reps, and basically it's just like doing cardio. And so, that's another way you can do it. Drop sets and things like that. High intensity training protocols where you're going to be lifting heavy and you're going to drop the weight off and you're going to lift lighter and drop the weight off and lift lighter, and you're doing all that again without taking a rest. And the reason for that is, again, to help you, get that heart rate up. It's just a different way to train the body. High intensity stuff helps you burn body fat. And a lot of people think it should only be done on the treadmill or whatever. No. Do that stuff in the weight room. It's hugely advantageous to you to get in there and do supersets, drop sets, triple sets, all this kind of crazy high intensity stuff. If you want more information on stuff like that, you can try teamflex.com/tempo, and I'll get you set up with some ideas of other stuff you could try there. Regardless, that's what you got to have. You got to have a good weight training program that focuses on the compounds, and then you want to have some high intensity training methods in there too, and try and take shorter rest durations overall, okay? When you're doing the compound stuff, take what you need, because that's about strength, that's about lifting as heavy as you can. And then you got to do, the shortest rest periods possible when you're doing the supersets and the drop sets and other things like that. Again, if you want us to set you up with that, teamflex.com. We'll do it for free. Coaching trial, subscribe to the emailing list. We'll get you set up. Then it comes to, okay, what about cardio, Coach Ryan? What about cardio, right? How do we get the cardio in? How do we do cardio to burn body fat? Now, there's a lot of, back and forth about it. Should you do the solid state? Should you do the HIIT? Should you do CrossFit? Should you do rowing? What should you do to do the cardio, right? And what's the better way to get it? Well, if you want to burn fat in the fastest way, the best way to do your cardio is with HIIT training, okay? And again, this is high intensity interval training, and that's gonna help you be able to kick your whole body into a different gear. Like overall, you're gonna be able to do more work in a shorter amount of time, which helps you burn more body fat in a shorter amount of time, right? And I'm not a huge fan of telling you, go on the treadmill for 2 hours a day. I don't know why coaches do that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm about at all. I'm about maximal effort, maximal result. And that means, shorter duration, working harder. So HIIT training is great if you're gonna do cardio. So most of you don't need to do a ton of cardio to lose body fat at a rapid pace. You need to have your training and your nutrition set correctly. But if you are gonna do your, cardio, HIIT training. So try like a 1 minute on, 1 minute off, do 15 minutes of that. You can do it with sprints. You can do it on a Stairmaster. The point is, when you're doing that minute, you got to be working your ass off. You got to be working really hard. You could even do like a 30-30 interval and do that for 15-20 minutes. But basically, when it's the work period, when you're on that work interval, you got to be busting your damn ass. You're begging for the rest by the time you get it. And if you do this correctly, you can do very short amount. You can do 10-15 minutes of this and get a seriously good fat loss result, because basically you're going to kick your metabolism up, and the effects of doing HIIT cardio go for 8, 9, 10 hours after even, as opposed to doing something like slow steady state cardio, regardless, maybe you prefer that, maybe you want a slow, steady state, you want to walk or what. If you want to do that, it'll work the same. It's all about, burning the capacity and getting the right burn in there. But the hit's going to be a lot faster, right? You can do it in 15, 20 minutes versus like an hour of walking or something like that if you're going to go for a walk in the park or take a hike. I don't know what the hell you want to do. Point is, you gotta, have the cardio in there if you really want to do this as fast as you can, but most of you don't need it. What you really need to do is get that nutrition right, okay? And that's the next thing. You gotta have your nutrition set up for success. You gotta be in the right spot with your nutrition if you want to burn body fat, okay? So first thing is, you gotta know where you're maintaining. Hopefully you're tracking your macros. Hopefully you're paying attention to your meals at least. Maybe you got a coach and they can tell you what you're doing with this, but you gotta be in a deficit. So you gotta get your calories lower than what you're eating currently in order to burn body fat. It's the only way we get the body to burn body fat. You can't do it any other way. You gotta get the calories right. You gotta get the calories lower. And so with that, you need to know where you need to be kind of as far as your, your macros and where your carbs should be and your proteins and your body, and your fats, body fats, and your fibers. All that's got to be in there. You got to know what you're doing and you got to hit your goals, okay? So you got to be in a deficit, you got to hit your goals. If you do this correctly, it will dramatically be the number one thing that helps you burn the most fat. Okay, I've taken clients on where they didn't have, a ton of time to do weight stuff. They didn't have any time. They weren't in condition, basically. People that are very overweight, obese and such, oftentimes can't even get to the gym when they're starting. So, starting them on nutrition, they can lose a ton of weight just doing better with nutrition. And anybody can do this. Competitors can do this. Oftentimes when a competitor's off, it's because their nutrition's off, right? And so, in reality, nutrition is huge. Nutrition is the biggest part of it. So if you get that right, it's going to be great. How do you do it, though? How do you preserve the most muscle? And how do you burn the body fat? What I suggest is a balanced approach, okay? A lot of people try to do keto. They try to cut their carbs all the way down, raise their fats up. Not the best idea for sustainability, in my opinion. Because unless you're committed to that diet for a very significant amount of time, like let's say you're going to do that for a decade, sure. If you're going to do a keto diet for like the next 10 years, then sure, by all means go for it. But if you're not, if this is like something you want to do for 30 days or 3 months or whatever it is till you lose this weight and it's a short-term thing, then it's not the best approach, because when you stop that, when you stop the keto kind of approach, now you're going to rebound weight. Now your body's going to have to readjust to all the nutrients and the carbs and everything else that would be in a more, balanced, normal type diet. And so that's going to set your results off. That's going to mean that your results don't sustain. That means you don't maintain. That means that you lost what you earned for most of you. So it's not the best way to do it. What I suggest is a lower carbohydrate intake and a moderate fat intake, higher protein intake, okay? So this is good for people that want to burn fat in the general sense. Now, everybody is different. All nutrition needs to be different. It's got to be catered towards you. Like, I coach a ton of people, and I've always coached them with different nutrition. Never give the same people the same set of macros or meals or anything like that, because the body just doesn't work that way. It's got to be individual. So don't Google a plan. Don't do your friend's plan. I said that earlier. Don't do that stuff. Get the right approach for you. Get a coach. Get somebody that can do this for you. Go to teamfflex.com if you're serious, and we'll set you up. But regardless, you got to make sure that you're in a good spot. And so oftentimes, in a general sense, that macro split that I just told you has been what I've coached, thousands of people with, in a general sense. Okay, so what does lower carbs mean though, right? What does fucking lower fat mean, right? What does higher protein mean? Well, it's all individual to you. I can't give you any generic numbers, but I'll tell you why I would suggest that. Basically, you need a higher protein because you're in a muscle preservation state. Since you're in a deficit, you could be burning off muscle. You're gonna either way. So if you want to help your muscles preserve, higher protein will do that. Protein is also thermodynamic in the body, okay? So when you eat it, it actually takes a lot of calories to burn it. It takes more calories to burn protein than it does carbs, etc., when your body's actually digesting it. So again, it helps for fat loss. In regards to that, carbohydrates, the reason I suggest lower carbs is because basically you got to drop either fats or carbs, and people need more fats generally. Like just as human organisms. for hormone function, for metabolic function, for brain function, for a lot of things. We need a lot of, good healthy fats in our body, and that's important. So I'm not a huge fan of dropping low fats for anybody just for those reasons. So then it leaves the carbs, and the carbs can be highly manipulated, right? This is what we see with a majority of diets over the history of time. Carbohydrates are not the enemy, no matter what anybody wants to tell you, but you can dramatically vary them. You can raise them up, you can bring them down, you can do a lot of stuff with them, and they're pretty much the most pliable nutrient as far as like, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What are we going to get this deficit? How are we going to get, somebody to bulk even if they were in a bulking phase? I'm raising carbs when I'm doing that. And that's because carbs, they're easily manipulated. So it's easier to take those down and, keep the protein up so you can preserve the muscle, make sure the fat's in the right spot so the body functions good. And then with the carbohydrates, you get what you need, what's left over, in other words, out of the nutrients. So once you hit the right nutrient goal, the calories goal, etc., then now we know where we want to put the carbs. And so having it in that balance is all great. And then applying that with your training program, applying that with your nutrition, maybe your cardio if you need it. Now you're in a great spot to be burning body fat. Like, you're doing that for sure. If you got this set up, if you literally went and set this up the way that I just told you, and it was like set for you, custom, correctly done, now it's inevitable you will burn body fat like this. Like, you will have to, okay? Obviously, I didn't give you any specifics, but if you had something set up like that for you, it would definitely work, because in reality, there's no way that it can't if you actually set that up the right way and you do the actual work. And so what happens now, though, is the variable that I talked about earlier in the video. This is the most important, the adaptation. The adaptation is the most important thing as far as any fitness program goes ever, okay? Any fitness program goes ever in the history of time. And this is where all the Google search, all the friends stuff you do, all the copycat stuff you want to do, the Instagram influencer ebooks and things, there's no adaptation, right? So what I mean by this is, if you start all this stuff, you take a training program, you take a nutrition, and maybe some cardio, and you're doing all this, if you're not seeing how your body is responding and you're not adjusting based on that, you're not going to get the best result, okay? So like, for example, if you're all of a sudden, you start this stuff and for some random reason you're gaining weight, and you're gaining weight week after week, week after week, you got to change the approach. It's not going to help you. Obviously something's going on in the body, you got to change it. So, you might actually need to change your macros up. You might need to change up the way you're training. You might need to change the cardio. Maybe you need to add it. But either way, if you're not going the way you want to go, you got to adjust it. You can't just follow the plan if things are not working for you, right? This is again where a coach can come in huge, because they can adjust it for you. But same goes for even if you're getting great progress. Let's say you lost 10 pounds. Your goal is to lose 30, you lost 10. Well, you can't continue doing the same stuff you did to lose that 10 to lose 30 most of the time. You need to adjust your training. You need to adjust your macros or your meals, your nutrition, in other words. You might need to adjust your cardio. You got to adjust now, because now your body's in a different spot than it was when it was 10 pounds heavier. And this is what everybody messes up. This is why people don't get results. This is why coaches fail their clients. It's because they don't adapt, they don't progress, they don't, adjust things for the changes that are happening or the changes that are not, okay? So as a general rule, as things are working, you want to continue the process of keeping them working, right? You don't want to stall out. You're going to hit some road bumps every now and then. You might need to wait a couple weeks before you decide if you should adjust things. But in reality, you got to look at the trends over time, and you got to adjust as you go. And this is, again, why I suggest getting a coach is so helpful. This is hard to figure out on your own, like, in reality. And this is why so many people rebound weight and they lose, body fat, but they gain back more. And that's because you can wing it for a while, but eventually it comes down to actual needing expertise to get further with it, right? And so some of you are probably also saying, hey, right, you didn't even touch on supplements yet, man. You didn't even talk about supplements. Well, supplements to me are the last thing you would ever need, right? Like, the way that I've always talked about supplements is the sprinkles on top of a cupcake, okay? They're not the bulk of what you need. The base of the cupcake is, your nutrition, the whole cake part of the cupcake. The icing would be the training. You got to have that too to make a cupcake. And then the sprinkles would be the very last bit that you don't even fucking notice, you don't really need. It doesn't make or break the cupcake. It's just an add-on. And that's the same with supplements. There is no magic pill out there. There's nothing that's going to be out there for you that's going to get you, some magic result. There's none of that stuff out there. I'll tell you, if there was, every single person in America would have it on a religious schedule to be taking it every morning. That stuff doesn't exist. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of fake marketing. There's a lot of paid influencers and a lot of bullshit. But in reality, aside from like a multivitamin, maybe your protein powder and pre-workout, you don't need a ton of other stuff. And that other stuff that I even just mentioned is all just extra stuff, because you can get protein from a diet. You can get, energy from coffee right here. You can get that, you can get a multivitamin. You can get the nutrients that would be in a multivitamin if you're getting enough of the proper foods in your diet. And so in other words, they're all supplemental, but the fat burners and the things like that and the magical aminos and all this shit that comes out, save your money. Save your money and buy better food, buy higher quality food. Buy yourself some gym equipment. Do something that's going to help you actually with the stuff that's going to work. Supplements are never going to be the make or break for anybody. They never have and they never will. In reality, I doubt maybe in this crazy world we live in, somebody will eventually come up with a pill that does do all the work for you, but right now it doesn't exist and there's nothing inside, because basically nothing out there does shit, does nothing for you. So I strongly suggest you avoid it, right? After working with thousands and thousands of clients over the years, competitors, weight loss clients, everyday lifestyle clients, everybody, I've noticed this to be true, okay? There are definitely things you can bank on to work, and there's definitely shit that's bullshit. And if you want to work on the shit that's going to work, don't look for the extreme. Don't look for the, let me drop my calories to 500 and see how I do. Let me do 2 hours of cardio a day. All that stuff is great if you want fucking a week of results and then having to deal with a rebound and side effects of it for the rest of the year. But in reality, if you want results the fastest way, you want to burn fat the fastest possible way, you got to get your training right. You got to get your nutrition right. You got to have constant progressing and adaptation of the damn programs. And then, you got to modify as you go. And that's really what it takes. That's what you need if you want the best results. That's absolutely how you're going to get there. That's for competitors. That's for lifestyle clients. That's for anybody watching this damn video. You got to have the proper training, the proper nutrition, and then you got to adapt and modify as you go to make sure that you're getting the results. If you do those three things and you do it the right way, you got the training program set up right, you got your nutrition set up right, and you're changing things as you should be, you will succeed in achieving that goal. And when you do, you will keep the results. The results will stick with you for the rest of your, time that you continue to live this lifestyle. In reality, that should be the goal for everybody, right? Make this a lifestyle. Don't do this for the short term. It doesn't matter if you got something coming up. A lot of people want to lose weight for a competition or for a wedding or for, some other thing that they got, some photo shoot or just some other item, a beach trip, whatever. Yeah, well, think about beyond that. Think about the rest of your life. Don't do stuff in the short term that's going to affect you in the long term negatively, okay? Do the right stuff so that you can live the best life, be the happiest person, and continue to move forward and prosper with whatever you're trying to do on this damn earth, all right? And so that's what's important. That's what matters most. This is what I suggest. If you want help from me and my awesome team of coaches, we will help you for free. Get this set up. TeamFFLEX.com. Subscribe to the mailing list and you're going to be invited into our coaching app to get this coaching experience where we'll help you set this up, and it's totally free. No skin off your back, nothing. Literally, we'll help you with whatever we can, and that's the goal. That's why I do these damn videos, by the way. So if you got anything out of this, please share it. I just want to help people. We just want to help people. That's why we do the free trial. That's why we're all here. Share this stuff out for me. Subscribe to the channel. And be back here every single Tuesday, because on Iron Palace, I'm teaching you how to build a palace out of those gains. My name is Ryan Milton, and I'll see you next week. Coach Rye is out.